What's up, y'all? I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut. Thanks for coming back for yet another weekend vlog. This is actually going to be more like a last 3.5 to 4 weeks catch-up video, coming through all these hurricanes and all this other stuff, and then the Equip Expo and everything. I am finally back and making content on a regular schedule. And of course, most of that is going to be here in my zoysia and my St. Augustine. Because even though I haven't been making regular content, I have been doing work out here, so I've got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. And I guess the first thing we'll do is we'll go all the way back to the first of the month. As you guys know, I have a summer ban where I can't apply nitrogen and phosphorus. The big one I need there is nitrogen. As of October 1st, the cuffs come off and I can throw her down. And that's what I did, hoping for the best. All right, y'all, so I'm wearing my official fertilizing clothes. You know it's about to get real, and we're about to go and throw her down and hope for the best. So we got a bunch of different options that we could do here. This is a video mainly aimed at those of you in Florida. If you're somewhere else, you could apply these products. You're not gonna hurt anything. The general rule of thumb with warm season turf, which is what we have here in Florida and through a lot of the South, is that if you're still mowing, then you can still be throwing. So if you're mowing at least every 7, 8, 9 days, you can still be making applications. Where I'm at here in the Tampa Bay area over by there, I'm still mowing every 5 days. Plenty of time. My blackout is over. The cuffs are off. It's October 1st, and we're doing it. So the first section we're gonna do over here is the zoysia, which is looking incredible. I'm gonna go ahead and give that the Halloween Domination Pack. That's one that a lot of you are gonna be getting right now, getting ready for Halloween. As you guys know, with Halloween, everybody's gotta come by and beg for candy, so they gotta see your lawn, and it's time to dominate. So that's what we're gonna do first. We're gonna throw the double dark down on the zoysia and get that going. #1 bestseller, flagship for the palmetto. Y'all ever wonder what I do with the leftover fertilizer?
I always give it to my favorite palm.
Okay, now for the final part, we're gonna put down a new product we just got. This was a professional product that Greene County had. In Charge 2800, just straight up urea nitrogen, quick results. We're gonna spray it on, let it sit for 5 minutes and water it in. A lot of folks have asked, is this any different than 2600 Greene Charge? And the answer is yes, because this is 2800, this is 26, so 2% more nitrogen in this new product. However, the 2600 Greene Charge also has like some boron and a little bit of iron. They're essentially very, very close to the same product. No need to buy one or the other unless you just like to have fun. Either way, those 16 ounces per thousand on the In Charge. We're gonna put this in our backpack sprayer and we're gonna put it down. We're gonna see how we do. All right, y'all, as far as the tip goes, we want to get the blades of the grass wet. So whatever tip you have, pretty much any tip can do that, because this is in between. We're going to let it sit and then water it in. But I'm going to go ahead and use the red, what do they call this? Fan tip, it's been a while. Fan tip nozzle, finer droplets. Anyway, just get everything wet and then water it in 5 minutes later. Let's go. All right, let's see how we came out. A little rusty. Oh, what is that? Oh man, that's 3/4 of a gallon left, so should have walked a little slower. That's one of the things about using the finer jet tip, doesn't push out as much. Anyway, we'll talk more about tips, I think, later in this video. It'll be a good review, but there we go. It shows you I'm a little rusty, so I'm gonna go back and put this last 3/4 of a gallon out and walk real fast. It's almost the end. So that's how you get rid of it. If you come up with too much or some left over, that's how you get rid of it. You go the opposite direction and you put some acid to it. So kind of going in reverse order, this is Greene Charge. Now this has had 2 apps now, the one on October 1st and then another one after Milton passed by. And I mean, it's beautiful. It's looking great. That was a nice little liquid spray and pray. Lots of good stuff there. The Palmetto flagship, performing wonderfully. I mean, this is just looking great. However, and we're going to talk about this, see these brown spots right here? These are areas that weren't able to recover because of something I sprayed. That's another part of the video coming up here. In a couple 2-3 minutes, we're going to talk about it and some stuff over there too. So just hang on, we're going to come back to this. Of course, here's my pride and joy, the zoysia. This got double dark, and it is just looking beautiful. I mean, come on. It does so well after the rainy season. It loves the water. And I've let it get away from me. It's a little thick, but that happens every year. So I got to bring the height down a little bit. We got some growing season left here. Quite a bit, actually. And so that's one thing I just wanted to make you aware of real quick. I actually have a guide for Florida. It's about winter lawn care because Florida gets so different. And by the way, South Texas, I don't want to leave you out. South Texas, it's going to be good for you too because you guys go as far south as we do in a lot of cases. And so there's a lot of confusion as to what you can and can't do in Florida and South Texas over the winter because kind of the state is so different. You know, South Florida is so different from North Florida. Then you have everything in between is like a transition zone. I have a guide that kind of takes you through that, gives you my philosophies of keeping things going through the winter. Needless to say, I live in Bradenton here, so I'm typically not going dormant. I'm able to push my lawn, in this case the zoysia, with fertilizer, with nitrogen, all during the winter. And so it got the double dark, and now it's time to do the 2600 green charge, which is part of the Halloween Domination Pack. So you can see I got everything set up over there, but before I go ahead and spray and pray, I think what I want to do is give this a nice little cut. People ask, should you cut before you fertilize? It's up to you. I just feel like I want to cut because it needs it, so I'm going to cut, then I'm going to spray, and then we're going to move on to the rest of this video. All right, that just feels so much better. Look at that. Man, that's toit. Zoysia is just so great. All right, so I'm not trying to make this complicated or anything. If you get it in the pack, you get it in quarts, you can stick a hose and sprayer right in there and go for it if you want to. Not a problem. I like to take advantage of the foliar absorption a little bit more, so I'm gonna spray it through a backpack. As far as foliar absorption goes and all that, don't get wrapped around the axle on it. You can't do this incorrectly. Hose in sprayer, water it in, you'll get results. Backpack sprayer, use the wrong tip, you'll get results, all right? I'm actually just gonna use the backpack sprayer. I'm gonna use the white tip because it's a little larger droplet size, but you know, I ain't got all day here. So again, we're just trying to get this fertilizer down. If you leave it sit at least overnight and then continue with your normal watering, it will have foliar absorption and it will green up the lawn overnight. A lot of people ask, Alan, what's the difference in the 2600 and the 2800? Well, the difference is 26% nitrogen, 28% nitrogen. But in this one, you get a little bit of micros. I think you get some boron and a little bit of iron. So that's why this one will green up a little bit faster. Both have foliar absorption. And that I just prefer this one because I like that little touch of iron in there to give me that blue color. You can see I'm trying to answer a lot of questions that I get over time because that's what these videos are about, giving you the confidence to get out there and spray and pray. And like I said, you're not going to hurt anything, so don't be scared. I'm going to be doing 2,000 square feet, so I'm going to do 32 ounces. Oh, that's nice. I already got about a gallon of water in there. You want to have some water in there ahead of time. Now you could mix other stuff in here. If it's stuff that you're going to water in, you can mix it in. I actually have another video that's... You're all right. I actually have another video that is probably out right now as we speak on a new bulletproof strategy fungicide, Bulletproof 2.0. It's important. Fungicides are very important right now in Florida. We are in the window to get your fungicides down. I believe that fungus problems are going to be really bad this year in Florida after all the rain and all the hurricanes. Whenever we have major weather events plus a rainy summer, it brings all kinds of craziness during the winter. Get your fungicides down. I'll link in the eye to that video as well as down below. Again, tons of resources, lots of stuff for Florida lawns. Let's go spray and pray this 2600 now. Okay, next I'm gonna show you something super cool, and it's gonna lead to a tip that's gonna help a bunch of you, especially those of you who just lost the screens in your lanai from the hurricanes. But before we get there, I have a friend that's an inventor, and he actually invented this, which is a mosquito spray system that bolts on to an Ego blower. And I got to test this a couple of days before Milton came in. Check it out. Okay, so this is just a prototype. He actually 3D printed this like in his garage, and the fit and finish is really good for something like that, so good job, Joey. But anyway, he's gonna see what he wants to do with this in the future. He just wanted me to test it, and I'm giving it a lot of high marks. I got some feedback for him, but anyway, super cool. And I figured out exactly how it would be perfect for me. Again, you can spray bugs all around the house and all that, but you guys know in the past, what happens to me is in my lanai, all up in there, I get spiders. And during the summer, it's probably once a month I have to get up in there. You've seen it, and I do the Webster up in there, and I try to deposit some bug spray. Now I can just use this to blast them from the ground. And I did that, and I was going to see, well, how good does this work? I sprayed some stuff up there called, I think, Duramax. That might be a diesel engine. Anyway, but I can't do it now because all my screens have been blown out from the hurricane, and that brings us to the tip. So if you have plants on a lanai like I do, they are used to sun exposure that is under screens. These screens are, well, that one's not. That screen is still in. They're used to that. See, that screened filtered sunlight. Now all of a sudden, even though we're later in the season, the sun is not quite as bright, but now it's direct sunlight right onto these plants. It has literally changed their sun exposure, so you have to be very careful. Most of mine, I pushed some of them back a little bit. That Dracinia, I think that drowned. Anyway, most of them are okay. I've pushed them back. It's these bromeliads that I'm most concerned about, because you can see I've got one back here. I've moved it back here now. The sun zorched it. Look at that. That is from changed sun exposure, and it's where it was, it mainly hit that one. So that one was further out here and was getting nailed. So I've pushed it back there. Looks like my other ones are okay. Look at these. So these are doing fine. They're kind of in the shade during the day. Again, I moved some of them back, but that's just something to think about. If you're in Florida and you have a lot of really nice plants on the back lanai, watch what the sun exposure has done and how it's changed, and make sure that you move your plants appropriately. Okay, now for sure here after the rainy season, you're gonna have weeds in the lawn, and you're gonna have to address those. And so I actually did that a few days before Milton. A couple of days after my fert, I was able to get out and spray weeds. Here's the mix that I use. It's also the mix that I recommend you use all through the fall here. All right, so now that the rainy season's over, it's time to start working on spraying weeds again. You can spray weeds during the rainy season, but it's tough because these things have restrictions on how long you need to wait before it rains, and then there's also mowing restrictions, and so it's just a lot. Now that we're coming into some cooler temperatures, and you can feel it out here in Florida today, it's a little bit cooler, and the rain has subsided. We're still getting rain every couple, 2-3 days, but it's not every day. Now it's a great time to spray weeds. You got two choices when it comes to warm season turf, and especially here in Florida. The first is the Image for Southern Lawns. This is available at any big box store, and this will work great. This does have an 85-degree temperature restriction, might be 90, but either way, you don't want to spray when it's over 85 degrees. That could singe the turf a little bit. And then if you're looking for a professional formulation, we have this Celsius. These are little drop-in packs. I've done videos on both of these, as well as extensive blog posts and everything else that I'll link below if you want to learn more about these, where I break down the labels, tell you how they work, why they work, all of that. Now for me today, I'm going to use Celsius, and I'm actually going to spike it with Sedgehammer, and that is because I have a lot of Kalinga in my lawn. Now Sedgehammer, we have this in generic, it's called Pro Sedge. I'll give you links to all this below. This stuff can look a little bit scary, but this one comes with a little scoop. One scoop is 1 gallon. This is a tear pack right here. So this is, you tear this open and this goes into 2 gallons of water and you're good. I'll show you. And the reason I'm using this particular mix is because of the weeds that I'm facing, mostly dayflower, which Celsius does well on, and then a lot of Kalinga as well as some other stuff. So that's why I'm making this choice today. But again, if you're somebody that just wants something store-bought, Image for Southern Lawns is still an excellent choice. Now, one drawback to Celsius is that it will stunt the growth of St. Augustine grass. And so what that means is it'll just slow it down. And you'll see that if you spot spray an area, the area you spot sprayed, it will not grow as fast as the rest of St. Augustine grass. The reason this is a drawback is because if you have a giant weed like dayflower, like I do, that actually can choke out the St. Augustine, you kill that dayflower and then the St. Augustine growth is stunted, so it can't grow back in as fast as what you would like. So that's just one of the drawbacks you have. But again, Celsius kills a lot broader range of weeds, and when you have doveweed and some of these bigger ones like I do, some of these more mature weeds like this dayflower, I prefer Celsius over the Image for Southern Lawn. So the nice thing is with the Celsius here, this is a professionally formulated product, and they make these rip packs. And again, I did a full video on this. I'm going with what is called the high rate, and I'm only spot spraying, so I'm in no danger of breaking anything on the label or anything like that. But I can't do it with gloves on, so I get a little help here from my friends. So there it is. You just rip the pack open like that, and here we go. I got a little bit of water in there first, so I'm going to do a 2 gallon fill up, and I've got 1 gallon of water in there, basically a little over 1 gallon to start with, because you don't want to put this in a dry tank. So we put that whole thing in there. There is no surfactant needed with this. It's all built in. And then Sedgehammer or Pro Sedge, the active ingredient here is halosulfuron. And so we're just going to open this up. And again, this one comes with a little scoop, so it's just 1 scoop is for 1,000 square feet or 1 gallon of water. So I got my 1 scoop right there. Boom. Now I got a 2 gallon fill up, right? See how easy this is? Look at this. This is the easiest thing. You should never be scared of this. So many people are scared to spray weeds. Boom, done. This will not burn anything. You don't even have to measure because you're using this right here. That goes into 2 gallons. Everything is in there. I'm gonna shake it up real good. Fill it all the way up to the 2 gallon mark. Agitate again. Then we want to clear our line. Whatever was in here before, we want to get that cleared out. All right, now I'm using the red fan tip, and that is because I want a finer mist, because I want to coat the weeds until wet. That's the rule when you're spot spraying, is you coat the weeds until wet. And sometimes that means you got to go across them once, twice, even 3 times a lady if there's some big ones. So get on them. Little alligator weed right there. Celsius does a great job on that. So this is the dayflower that I've been fighting, and it's here every time I make a video, because it's really hard to kill it all, because it's just so spreads. It spreads with these rhizomes, and so when it spreads like that, you might kill a part of the plant, but if any piece of it stays living, it can come back. So it's a tough one. And you can see it spreads out, takes big swaths. Really does compete with the St. Augustine grass. Unlike a lot of other weeds that are not able to do that. This one's adapted to do that. So we're just going to get it nice and wet. Make sure we coat the whole thing. Got a little oxalis in there too. So this is dayflower right here, and that is oxalis with the yellow flower on it right there. So there is all that's left now. You saw how thick that was. Now all that's here, you watch. I'll go in here and I'll find some green. This is all, look at this. This is all dead carcass of that dayflower. But it'll come back because there's some green in here. You can see, let me look at the stolons or the rhizomes, I mean. Look at the rhizomes. See how they're still green in the rhizomes? So all it takes is for one of those to just remain in there, and it grows back. The way to really eliminate it is to spot spray it back to back, to stay on top of it. Like as soon as it starts to come back, you got to spray it immediately, and I just don't always get to it. Sometimes it goes for a few weeks, we get rain, and then boop, big plants. I'm kind of starting all over again. But yeah, you can see there was a big one right there. Now it's just Carcass. See that? That's all dayflower Carcass. And a big bare spot. See the big bare spot? That's the thing. It leaves a bare spot there that the St. Aug has to regrow into now. Okay, and so I'll show you, I got good results. Here, I wanted to show you this, I promised you at the beginning of the video. Why are these areas brown? Well, some of this was damaged from disease and everything else during the summer, but it's all recovered now. The flagship has really pushed it. And by the way, we're past Hurricane Milton and it's still greening. So the flagship, those coated prills, those coated urea prills, they are sticking in the soil because we're still getting green up even after Milton. So that's good to see. But these brown areas, what these are, this is not areas that were damaged. What these are areas where there were weeds, where I had to spray the Celsius, and the Celsius stunts the growth of the St. Augustine grass. That's one of the side effects to Celsius herbicide. There are no heat restrictions on it. However, it does stunt the growth of St. Augustine grass especially, and I've seen it do it in zoysia too. And it stunts it for a good 2.5 or even 3 weeks. And so what you have are those areas that are still brown, they just haven't recovered. All of this out here has recovered from me fertilizing, because this was really bad. If you look before, this was brown everywhere, right? It's all recovered because I pushed it with flagship, boop, things grow back. Now, I have some undesirable things growing back in here too, we'll talk about. But for the most part, it's grasses that have grown back in here, except right there, the Celsius has stunted the grass so it could not rejuvenate. So what you have now is a hole where there was dead weed, and then you have St. Augustine grass that was struggling, disease-ridden, and hasn't been able to come back yet. So that is not more disease, it's just from all those circumstances I just talked about. Now, to a lesser extent, I'll show you over here in the Floritam, where it's been a thick turf stand. It wasn't damaged like all that there, which here, look, you can see these areas right here? That's not growing. See, it hasn't grown. Can you see that? This area back here is grown. This area right here, no growth. That's because there was a weed there that I spot sprayed. Anyway, over here, it's been thick and dense all year, but you see those spots? Those are the areas that are not growing because there was a weed there that was sprayed. It's hard to show it on the camera, but see, the grass is growing right here, right? And then as soon as I move into here, the grass is not growing. See that? Can you tell? And so those are exactly what those are from. That's areas where I sprayed Celsius weed control. So the good news is it's killed the weeds in all those areas, except for this. Now, this is another thing we're having trouble with right now. This is tropical signal grass. A lot of people think it's crabgrass. It's not. It's tropical signal grass. Look at how it performs. It looks even a little bit like St. Augustine grass in a lot of cases. Pulls up pretty easy. Prodiamine stops it, but we just had so much rain, the vapor barriers from prodiamine have been washed away. Plus, we're at the end of the summer, so probably next year you need to use more pre-emergence to stop that, but I've got several patches of it. And again, I get a little bit of breakthrough every year, so I got a patch right there, patch over there, patch right there. You can really see it on the side. And you see the areas here. So what I did over here is I thought, let's see what happens if I really hose it down. If I hose the Celsius down onto the signal grass, what will it do? So here's a patch that I hosed the Celsius hard. That's a technical term, hosed it hard. You'll remember that from your college days. And so what it does when you hose it hard is it does stunt the tropical signal grass. As you can see, it's browned it up, but it's not dead. And there's no St. Augustine grass in here. So what am I gonna do? If this dies, there's gonna be a giant hole there, right? So typically what I do this time of year is I live with it because it's gonna die if we get a cold enough winter. It's gonna die. See, look, there's a patch right there. Patch right there, patch right there, patch right there. It's gonna die. It's gonna end up dying as soon as we get temperatures kind of, I don't know, in the low 40s usually. It doesn't take a lot to kill tropical signal grass cold-wise. So I typically just leave it in the lawn and live with it right now. And knowing that next year, more pre-emergence. Next year is going to be a big chemical year for me. Again, as I said, I got a fungicide video out right now. I used to not even spray fungicides this year. That's all off, man. After this year, chemicals all the way, baby. Following the label, of course, but I'm going to blanket the earth. Last thing I want to show you on the weed control with the Celsius, mature doveweed was right here. And you'll see
Some still here, but in a lot of cases, it's all gone. Remember, mature doveweed though, one application. So, got rid of a good majority of it, but some still here. Doveweed's hard to kill once it gets mature. There's more results. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you in the lawn.